I'm going to cut it off about 1.5 inches below the sleeves so that we've got some space to turn it up. So I'm going to cut it about level with this zigzag going along here. Hi everyone, today I'm going to be showing you how to make an outfit for your Bratz Big Babyz boy out of a t-shirt. So I'm planning to make him a top and some shorts. For this project you'll need your doll, your t-shirt, some scissors, some pins, a needle and thread or a sewing machine. So I got this t-shirt from Primark, which is a discount clothing store here in the UK. It's in a size 2 to 3 and it was £1.30, which is such a good price to pay. My plan is to make the top out of the top and the bottoms out of the bottom of the t-shirt. I'm going to make him some shorts. So the first thing we need to do is measure how long we want our t-shirt to be. I'm actually planning on using the neck and the sleeves of this t-shirt. I'll show you how to do that soon. But the first thing we need to do is cut it off. You can see that we want it just about level with the bottom of the sleeves, don't we, so that it's long enough for him and we've got some space to turn it up. So I'm going to cut it off just below the bottom of the sleeves there, which is a good guide for me, isn't it? So let's cut that off across there. This is something I haven't actually tested out yet, so I'm winging it. Bear with me, won't you? So now we have two pieces. We have the top, which we're going to turn into the t-shirt for the doll, and we've got the bottoms, which we're going to turn into a pair of shorts for him. Actually, they're going to be longs, aren't they? But we can alter that. We've got plenty of fabric to do both with. So the first thing we need to do is to cut out the t-shirt. You can see that the length of that t-shirt, once we've cut it out and turned it up, that's going to be perfect. If we fold the t-shirt in half like this, we're going to lay him on it at the halfway point. So his neck is here, the sleeves need to start here, the t-shirt needs to come down because we need to leave a seam allowance, and then the sleeves need to come there's his neck, there's his shoulder. He doesn't really have a shoulder as such. So we need to cut our t-shirt like that. So I've literally laid him on here, drawn down his arm, and I've drawn inside the arm to the wrist and down the side here where we're going to make sure that he's halfway on it. And make sure you leave room for your seams. So now I need to cut it out. I'm going to leave room for my seams, so keep your fabric folded in half while you're cutting. Make sure you cut past the end of the sleeves because you want to be able to turn the sleeves over. So now here's our little t-shirt shape. If you lay it on him, you'll see that once we've taken in all our sides and everything, that's going to fit in perfectly. Also, we'll cut a slit in the back and make it velcro fastening. So fold your back part in half like this. And cut down the middle. That's where your velcro is going to go. Okay, so we're left with 3 pieces, and now we're going to sew these 3 pieces together. First of all, I'm going to sew across the shoulder here and down the top of the sleeve. That's all. I'm going to sew across the shoulder and down the top of the sleeve on each side. So I'm going to do that side and this side, and then I'll come back and show you what's next. You can see that I've sewn up across the shoulder and down the sleeve on each side. So the next step is to sew the neck over. So we're just going to turn the neck over and stitch around there. Carry on all the way around, and just turn it over a little bit and stitch it down so that it doesn't fray and that it doesn't look untidy. I'll go and do that now. So we've now got the neck all stitched over. The next thing I'm going to do is stitch the bottom of the sleeves over. So turn the edge of the sleeve over and just stitch it into position. And do that on both sides. So the next step then is to line up your sleeves, and we're going to sew the side of the t-shirt closed and the sleeve closed. So we're going to sew down here and across here on each side. So line it up. You can pin it in position if you want to, and then we're going to sew down the side of the sleeve and down the side of the t-shirt. Turn your little t-shirt the right way out. You'll find that it bunches up under the armpit. Now, to get rid of that bunching, you need to do little snips under the armpit. You can see where it goes to a point. You need to snip there, and you need to do some little snips either side as well. That way it'll stop it from bunching up when you turn it the right way out. Do the same on the other side. Snip up to the stitching line but not through it. So one there, and one on this side. That'll let the arm stretch out, whereas before it was bunching up. So turn it the right way out. And let's try it on him. So here we are. So the next thing we need to do is to put the velcro on the back and to turn up the bottom. That bottom is nearly the perfect length, so I'm going to turn it up just the minimum amount. Let's get it off him, and we'll just turn it over just a tiny bit, pin it into position. And really this can be, you don't have to buy a t-shirt to do this, it can be done with any fabric, but stretchy fabric is best. Also, it can also be done for a girl doll, so you could do it for a girl Bratz baby, or you could do it for an 18-inch doll. You just do the same method, but just do it on your size doll rather than my size doll. So we've pinned the bottom there. I'm going to stitch that down now. And so for the next step, we need to add the velcro to the back. So I'm just going to turn that over and stitch a piece of velcro on that side, and the same on this side. One piece of velcro on the outside of the fabric and one piece of velcro on the inside of the fabric. So I'm going to do that now. So I've turned over the edge and stitched on the velcro on each side. We're ready to try it on him. Here we are, there's his little t-shirt. Now what we need to do is make his shorts for him. You can see he's got a digger on the front there. My little grandson would love that, he loves diggers. So my plan is to use the bottom of the t-shirt as the bottom of the trousers. So when we're measuring him against it, we need to make sure that this is very neatly levelled off, otherwise they're going to have wonky trouser bottoms. So let's level that off as best we can. And we'll lay him on it. If you want long trousers, level his ankle with the bottom of the material. If you want short trousers, level his knee with the bottom of the material. I think I'm going to go for long ones because they're going to be like pyjamas, I think. So I need it to be as long as his legs are, like that. And then I need to cut it. His waist is going to come to here. And we need to leave some space, quite a lot of space to turn over. So I'm going to cut it just above here. So I'm going to cut it, let's measure the length and then we'll have a good idea, won't we? So I'm going to cut it just to the top of here. So I've measured it up to his waist, which comes to about here. And then we need to turn this bit over so that we can fit some elastic into the sleeve we make. So I'm going to measure that from the bottom. And that is 15 centimetres or 6 inches. So I'm going to cut it 6 inches long. So I'm going to measure it from the bottom up to where I want to cut it. And this is about 6 inches long. So we'll put a pin in there at 6 inches. And we'll do the same a little bit further along. Up to 6 inches. Pop in a pin, and the same at the other side, up to 6 inches, and pop in a pin. So I want to cut it 6 inches long. I've got my pins for my guide, and now I'm going to cut straight up there. There we go. So now for the next step, we lay him on it again, and we need to work out where to cut and sew for his legs and his waist. Get your pen. If you don't have your fabric turned up at the bottom here like mine is, make sure you allow for that seam. My fabric's already turned up at the bottom, so I don't need to allow for that seam. I'm going to use this seam at the side here as well. Bear in mind, if you don't have this seam at the side, that you're going to have to leave a seam allowance for that too. And so now what I'm going to do is draw from the middle of his leg down to the bottom. And you can see I've got my line here. Then I'm going to fold that in half, the fabric. And I'm going to cut from the top of my line, that which is the inside of his leg. I'm going to cut just a little triangle of material out of the middle there. And then I'm going to cut the other side, and I'm going to leave enough material to make a seam that side and cut straight up. Make sure you cut straight up. So when we lay him on it, it should be wide enough to go around his hips and wide enough to go around his legs. So the next thing we do is turn it inside out. and we're going to sew down this big seam here from top to bottom, and then we're going to sew the V in the middle from the bottom up to the middle, and then from the middle down to the bottom. So we're going to do that, and we're going to sew the other side up as well, and then we're going to try them on him before we go any further. Finish my sewing. I've sewn down the side there so that both seams are shut at the sides, and I've sewn the V in the middle up to the top and back down again. Let's turn them the right way out and see if they fit him. There we are, look how cute they are. So the next thing we need to do is turn the top over and put our elastic in. So we're just going to turn the top over and thread some elastic through there. So let's take them off him again. So we're going to pin the top over like this, and we're going to make like a little sleeve to put our elastic in. So we're going to pin all the way. You just need to sew just around the bottom there. I may zigzag it shut because that will finish the edge and it will close the sleeve at the same time. So pin it all the way around, and so now I'm going to stitch that into position, leaving a little gap. I'm going to leave a gap at the back so that I can thread my elastic through. So the next thing to do is measure your elastic. So let's measure that around Cameron's waist. Come on, Cameron, you're nearly done. So I'm going to measure the elastic around his waist and allow a little bit so that you can stitch it together at the end. Cut it off to the length you want it. Pop a pin through. The pin is to help you guide it through the waist of the trousers, and then just thread it through the waist. So when you get to the other end, you need to stitch this bit together. Make sure you stitch it nice and well because it's going to be stretched all the time when it's on him. Stitch this bit together and then stitch up the little hole that you've left there. So I'm going to do that now. One last thing that I'm going to do, because it's annoying me, is I'm going to gather up the neck a little bit. It's sticking out a little bit, so I want to gather it up so that we haven't got this bit sticking out. And to do that, I've got some nice thick thread. I've got 4 strands of thread here. I'm going to start at this end. Stitch your thread into place there at that end, and then we just need to do a gather stitch all the way around like this. In, out, that's all you need to do. In, out, all the way around. It's in the same colour as the fabric, so you won't be able to see it when it's done. Don't worry about sewing through the velcro part, leave that. Try it back on him. I mean, you might find that yours isn't loose like mine is, but mine's a little bit loose around his neck, and it's spoiling the overall look of the t-shirt. So put his shirt back on. Gather it up as much as you need to gather it, and then just stitch it into position at the back. So there's his top. Let's put his trousers on as well. There we go, look at that, he looks so cute, doesn't he? I'm so pleased with those. I wish I'd done it sooner. So that was my little tutorial on how to make a top and trousers for your Bratz big baby. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.